count sheep.
Oh, you make me wanna talk back to you. Say it like that. If I hate you, then find someone new. Baby, but you know I never.
Hello, Albion Giants League. We got another Titanomachy matchup coming your way here today, two actually. But to kick things off, we have the Royal Jesters going against Far Out here in the Sparta Sharixx matchup division. I am Dr. Shrew, joined by Not a Valve Game with the ever wonderful Rosie on production. As we get ready to hop into picks and bans here, Valve, how you feeling going into this one?
I'm feeling, a little confused now because I see the first band is Erlang Shen. So I was excited and now I'm a little confused. I guess they know some pocket picks that I don't know about these players.
Yeah, it seems like that it's got to be a respect banner along, not something we see too often. But the Jormungandr, the Kali, and the Thor, that is much more standard smite from what we're used to seeing. So should be pretty interesting to see what's get let through. I mean, these are best of ones, right? So we might see some spicy picks get taken on either side. There's some big names on both sides as well. This looks like it could be quite the matchup.
It could be, but the bands have shifted to something more standard. The Jormungandr, the Kali, the Thor, even the Janus a bit more standard, and the Wukong. I kind of expected that as well.
Hmm.
Ganesha is open, and that's the first pick. Thokman Jones locking that in.
Yeah, that is such a good support right now. He brings so much, the silence, the shred from the Dharmic pillars. He's definitely a very strong first overall. I have to see what this Chaos Side team decides to answer back with. Notably, the
Something
Raven is still open.
Something people fail to forget or fail to remember with Ganesha is that when he presses two, the people standing next to him get usually more than an item's worth of both protections for standing in the circle next to him with Ohm. So this character is absolutely busted. Ratatosker and Olderun in response, and that's a really good, I think, counter pick to Ganesha. Not like a hard counter per se, but it's definitely really good into the Ganesha. Ganesha has no in-kit CC immunity, and if you catch Ganesha in that Olderun ult, he might just be dead.
Yeah, a good top two there, but it's an Ishtar to answer back. A pick I know Thokman Jones is extremely comfortable on, and I am excited to see him on that pick once again. How do you feel about Ishtar and Ganesh as a dual lane as a whole?
It's definitely got solid pressure with the Ishtar. The clear is pretty good for the starting of the game and just for the lane in general. But I'm gonna have to see what the support locks in response, and it looks like an Ares. And as much pressure as Ganesha Ishtar have, Ares Oleron is that much stronger. This is gonna be a difficult one for them to fight into, especially for Ganesha. I wouldn't be surprised if Ganesha has to get beads first.
Yeah, that is such a good dual lane locked in over there for them. Ares has been kind of on the rise recently. He got a little bit of love, and it seems like itemization is favoring him. Uh, He's just been getting picked up more and more, and I gotta say, it's looked good every time I've seen it.
That change to his two, making it so the CCR is you don't have to level it to get the increased CCR. I believe it's 30% at just rank one. Is ridiculous in my opinion, absolutely ridiculous. And it's such a good pick into the tier as well. In the late game, the tier is going to be looking to dive the Ola run and whatever mid laner they end up picking up. If the Ola run's going ADC, we don't know that for sure, but it probably is. The Ares is an incredible pick here into the Ganesha. The Ganesha has to go beads now, otherwise he is going to die consistently. Jungler bands coming out on the side of the Ares pick. Surprised they banned the Daji, but I guess the Ratatosker is going into the jungle, so.
Yeah, CC immunity going to be the name of the game for both teams here, but especially for this order side team, considering they're going up against an Ares and an Ola run, which is going to make Bede's pressure so intense. They're opting to ban out mid lane on their side, taking away the Agni and the Discordia, but it's left open the Tiamat. It seems like that might be what we see locked in here, and it is.
I would hate to be this tier right now. I'm gonna be honest. Um, this is a miserable backline for you to dive. First off, you had to deal with the Ares cripple. Tiamat is barely a backliner to dive anymore with the current book build and the breastplate. Tyr is not going to kill her, and then you don't have consistent CC immunity for the Ola ult. This is going to be miserable for the tier. But the answer back is going to be possibly Thanatos. That is an interesting pick, but I also think it is a bit underrated. People are sleeping on the Thanatos.
Yeah, I feel like he's in a good position. I've also seen American Tangents pilot this Thanatos to great success, as well as the Hebo in the hands of Evan. I feel like in this best of one scenario, we're just seeing them lock in comfort picks over and over and over again on this order side team. I really do like what they've got so far.
It's just the only question mark I have is this tier. This tier gets kind of mangled by their team comp. It's I like the rest of their comp though. This tier is gonna have to go Winged Blade. He's gonna have to buy beads, which means he's either sacrificing teleport or blink, and it's probably the former.
Hercules gonna be the hover for solo lane to go against physics on that tier. If they do decide to lock this in, do you like the Hercules and how it fits into the rest of their team comp?
I've got a bit of a Hercules is definitely a decent pressure pick. It's just he does so much less than he used to do, and the items he likes to build are a little bit weaker than the ones that are like good in the meta right now. He's not the best user of Glad Shield, but he could do what you want him to do. I do think Achilles or Robin would have been a better pick, but maybe he's going for comfort like the order side is.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like Robin making it all the way through the picks and bans without even getting looked at. You say that happens, like a month and a half ago, and that sounds like an absolute crazy idea, but it's just the world we live in now. That Robin not quite as highly prioritized as other picks. But now that we can see the full five for both sides here locked in and getting ready to go, do you feel like the struggles that physics might have on this tier is enough to give the overall draft towards far out, or do you feel like the Jesters have still grabbed enough to get themselves this win?
It's gonna rely on how much American Tangents and Evan can do on the mid 2v2, I think. Because right now their dive is gonna rely on American Tangents and Evan, because this tier is going to be so shut out by the other team's backline, I think. Because it's so difficult to dive into Olorun's tier, on top of Ares and Tiamat being difficult for you to deal with as tier. I gotta give the advantage to far out.
Going to be a lot of pressure onto physics to make this tier pick work, to make this tier pick be successful for his squad. The Jesters looked good all throughout this season of the OSL. I feel like if anybody can make this comp work with the tier that's kind of getting shut down, it's going to be them. But on the other side, there's so many threats. I mean, we've talked about this combo in the dual lane. We talked about the Tiamat. What is this Ratatosker going to do to add to what Far Out's bringing?
Ratatosker is going to do what he always does, which is early game pressure, global rotations, and overall just consistent damage. He is just a solid jungle fit that goes into almost every comp. You can really never go wrong with a rat. The squirrel does work.
He does, and especially in the hands of someone like Elite Tortuga. And as we hop into game here between Royal Jesters and Far Out, we're going to find out who comes out on top. And while we have a moment before buff spawn, before the chaos of this match kicks off underway, we have a second to look at some of these builds, and immediately it's looking like the expert on this Hercules might head towards that Frostbound Hammer build. I can't say that's something I expected to see on a Herc. Do you like this kind of build path with the Cudgel first overall?
I'm going to preempt this with, I have no clue what Final K's on with this build. I'm a higher end of solo lane. I play in the GM rank games, 3K MMR. I usually sit around there, right? I have no idea what he is on with this Frostbound build. I feel like you just get out traded by people with Glad Shield. You don't feel as tanky. The stats are pretty decent, but like, I don't think it does enough. I don't like it. I just don't think it feels good. It doesn't look good. I hate Frostbound as an item overall, but I just don't think it's very good.
Well, I'm interested to see how it looks on a Hercules. I've seen it on a lot of different picks, Hercules not being one of them, so I'll have to wait and find out how the expert can use that Final K build, as you mentioned, on this kind of non-standard pick. But over here in the dual lane, just like you mentioned, pressure already going the way of Far Out with this Olorun Ares combo.
I feel like Oleron is somewhat similar to, not the same scale as like a Jormungandr or Hades in solo lane, but but Oleron really kind of pushes pressure in this lane, and combine that with an Ares who is another high damage pressure pick. It is very difficult for any lane to fight into this. So I'm not surprised that the Order team is shoved under tower. Shield buffs are probably going to be in control of the Oleron unless Tangents comes over here and to secure it.
Yeah, definitely pressure going the way of this far out squad who are roaming around the jungle right now. If this game goes, to that hyper late game point as Tangents gets caught out in the jungle, but it's totally okay. If we get to that, 30, 40 minute point in the game where we see so often in this season of Souls, do you feel like either team has a clear advantage in that hyper late game?
Well, as of right now, setting up for that hyper late game, the Ganesha falling here definitely puts an advantage into Far Out, who I think already has an advantage for it. First blood going to the way of Far Out on Elite Tortuga. The Tiamat with the build that they're going, the Oleron in the late game just is going to feel good. Though the Hebo Ishtar do feel strong in the late game. The Thanatos also, I do think there's a bit of a myth that Thanatos hard falls off in the late game. He does fall off a little bit, but he's still pretty strong and does quite a bit of damage in the late game. I just think the Tiamat Oleron are not going to have enough pressure on them. Speaking of the Tiamat...
Yeah, speaking of the damage coming out of a Thanatos, American Tangent's going to answer back with a kill of his own onto Omni there to kind of kickstart this Jesters team fight and this Jesters squad 1-1 so far in the kills.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that the Tiamat didn't make it over the wall there. The Purification bead's still up, so you could have beads out the silence, but maybe just couldn't find the right spot for it.
Yeah, it looked like he was really trying to get over the wall, but just unable to quite do so. Both junglers being the ones to get that, early kill for their squad, definitely going to feel good for the two of them. I agree that most people, say that Thanatos falls off late because of how good he is early, and that might not always be the case. But do you feel like one of these two junglers is going to have a bit of an extra presence with this early kill? Like, is Rat or Thanatos better in the early game?
Thanatos is definitely better in the early game. I feel like it's difficult to match Thanatos' early game in terms of jungle, unless you're a warrior because you have warrior stats. You have a very difficult time 1v1ing him just because of his pure base damage and his ability to heal off of his one. The Death Scythe is such a powerful tool. It's hard to match the damage and pressure that Thanatos provides.
Yeah, definitely going to be good for American Tangents to try and turn things in the Jester's favor. He has that big power spike of the Jotuns online and his hit level 5. He's in the left jungle at the moment. Do you want to see him try to gank duo, or is there a better area you think he should be looking at?
Currently, I do think the best thing to do is try to keep this Oleron down. The Oleron is going to exert the pressure over the Ishtar just by virtue of, like I said before, being Oleron, but the Ratatosker seems to be exerting pressure.
In the mid lane, going for Evan, who takes a lot of damage on the Hebo and is in a world of trouble. Elite Tortuga will get credit for that kill in the mid lane, now 2-0 on this Ratatosker, and there was nothing that American Tangents could do except for watch it.
American Tangents knew what was going to happen, saw it unfolding in front of him before it even happened, and backed away. There was nothing he could do to help that. Evan was low on mana, probably didn't have enough for the ultimate. If he did, using the beads there was definitely not the right call. He had to use that ultimate immediately towards his tower, but unfortunately I don't think he had enough to do it.
That did not work out. American Tangents, though, will make it work out in favor of the Jesters, getting a kill on to the Hercules underneath the tower. Looks like both ultimates were used over there to make sure that kill goes the Jesters' way.
I mean, that's another problem with the Frostbound build, I think, is that you don't have defense. You just have health. Yeah, you've got a good amount of health and you got some power, but you don't have defense. Granted, Tyr hasn't back to finish his item, but you don't have any defense into a Thanatos Tyr, which is a lot of damage. They are picking on this Hebo.
Yeah, Evan just unable to stay safe anywhere. Green buff taken away by Tortuga, and they are just making sure the pressure is in the mid lane constantly over here. But now it looks like Flippin' Ninjas is going to make his way to the mid lane to hopefully keep Evan a bit safer.
I hope so, because he definitely needs the help. Because this Ares is hunting for him. His beads are down. He's either going to have to ult this or accept it, and it looks like he's accepting it. But nothing seems to be coming of it. I think they just wanted to try to get the ult out of him, and Evan holding on strong for that.
Yeah, good discipline coming out of the Hebo there. Knew he had the help from FN7. Those Dharmic Pillars expended to make sure no further aggression happened in their direction. And now 6.5 minutes in, kills are tied up and far out, have just around maybe an 800 or so gold lead. So nothing too impactful just yet. This grouping over towards the left side, American Tangents was thinking about getting aggressive, but it looks like not too much going to come from it.
It did seem like they all knew each other was there. Like the wards are on top of each other, and the Ratatosker and the Ares and the Thanatos were all kind of just staring at each other, knowing that they were all there, but they were making sure the other ones didn't make any plays. Just making sure that nothing was going on before they reset. Nobody wanted to walk away until, all right, nobody's doing anything here. My ADC's okay. Let's make sure of it.
A little bit of a pause as we wait for Tort to load his way back into the game. You know, you talked about the book build with the Breastplate of Valor that we'll definitely see Omni heading towards. But on the other side, Evan not going for the same build as we see. It's Doom Orb first overall into some Flat Pen. How do you feel about this mid build coming out from Evan on the Hebo?
For Hebo, I feel like the Doom Orb's really good because you do have mana issues, but I'm more towards this book build that the Tiamat's going, especially for somebody like Hebo, because Hebo is a very spammy character. Because you walk up, press 1, press 3, you walk up, press 1, and you kind of just throw your abilities out. And you're good at proccing Tablet, good at getting your Reaver procs off. Overall, I think it's a... You can run this do more build because it helps you a lot more with your mana issues in terms of MP5 and your movement, because your escapability kind of relies entirely on your ultimate and your carpet. But I think either way works. I don't hate either build, so...
We'll have to find out how Evan can use that extra movement speed and that extra MP5 that you mentioned to try and get things going here in the mid lane. He has maybe a half-level lead, even with all the pressure he's been under. So seemingly able to just farm up this map very well on this Habois.
I think that's coming in part from the fact that Ganesha took a little bit longer to come out of lane than the Ares, but then I look at it, it's... Ganesha seems to be slightly ahead of the Ares as well. So Ares is taking a little bit less farm, I guess, maybe to make up for that deficit, but it seems to not have done much yet. Thanatos is up here.
Gonna be used. He's gonna look for something over in the dual lane. Does get the stun. Crushing wave comes through as well, and there's nothing Core Nickel can do. He does throw out the ult to slow down the rest of this engagement, but Hunter can't get away either, and Evan will pick himself up a double kill just 9 minutes into the game. And with how grouped they are on the left side, they are losing out on some farm as Tort does steal away some back camps, but they can just head towards this Gold Fury, and then doesn't look like anybody from far out's going to be able to do anything about it. So they will get a Gold Fury plus 2 kills just 9 minutes into this game.
Tort is going to get the entirety of the right side jungle, though. Looks like he passed up on the blue buff, but he did get the red and the speed. So there is a bit of a trade, but I don't think it's worth the Gold Fury and 2 kills. But they did do the right thing and try to make up for it by getting some stuff on the other side of the map. There's only so much you could do. You can't make it there in time to save your ADC and your support, so they covered what they could.
Old and experience now in favor of the Royal Jesters by a little bit here and there. Nothing game breaking if you're far out, but feels good if you are the Jesters. And it looks like a bit of that experience is in the support role. You mentioned it earlier, but maybe a level and a half favoring out FN7 on this Ganesh. Is that surprising to you? Like that an Ares is a little bit behind?
Well, it's not surprising to me anymore because Ishtar is at a deficit to the Oleron. about almost a full level, if not a little bit. It looks like a full level deficit. It's because Ganesha stayed there a little bit longer, got a little bit more farm, is ahead of the Ares, but Ishtar's behind because of it.
Would definitely trading priorities of who they want this farm to go towards in the early game. American Tangents just getting a little bit of poke in the mid lane. He has that ultimate back up and available because of the high CDR that he's already got locked in. We haven't really seen him go to the dual lane too much except for that double kill that they just had. Do you feel like this is still the right play for American Tangents? Just sit on the Ola run, or is mid lane maybe the choice as we get closer to Beacon?
Well, it seems like the priority of the other team does seem to be Evan. Evan seems to be the priority for them to go on to try to pick. Because the Ola run has pressure and is shoving Ishtar under tower. I think Evan is the easiest for them to kill. Because when you go to gank a tier, it's kind of difficult, to be quite honest with you. Evan's getting engaged on here, but he's gonna press 2 and walk away. The tier is very difficult to gank. The Ishtar is kind of being shoved in under tower, so they're looking to pressure the Hebo. Dual lane is kind of the more important of the two lanes, in my opinion, because you can only get so much done by pressuring solo side. But speaking of solo side pressure, blue buff invade from the Ratatosker is successful.
Tortuga does manage to take that one and is able to just make his way out, except for Physics uses the blink trying to turn something back around, but Tortuga mobile enough on the Ratatosker to just dash on out of there without too much trouble. Physics though now is close by, and with Beacon spawning in just 3 seconds, that looks like to be the call for the Royal Jesters, who have numbers, but there's reinforcements from far out coming in as well. Neither team want to give up this beacon for free. All the while, Fuckman Jones gets himself a solo kill over in the dual lane. Ratatosker's up in the sky though. Where is he going to drop down? Just going to drop safely. Hovering Death used as well, but Beacon goes the way of the Royal Jesters, and no blood spilt around it. The only kill happening in the dual lane.
I'm surprised, judging by Thokman's health, that went very handily towards Thokman as well. I guess the Oleron just got caught slacking. The Ishtar just probably played it very well, didn't lose the beads for it either, and Oleron just got caught slipping.
Yeah, it just worked out for TMJ completely over there. As you said, didn't need to use too much and is now evened out that XP deficit that you were talking about earlier. So Thokman on this Ishtar 1-0-2, looking like they could be a threat the further this game goes on.
Definitely is a threat currently, if you see what he's doing to this Ratatosker. The Griffin Wings, the second item for him, which is kind of questionable. The ADC builds have kind of been set in stone. Going this, the arrow, the Gilded Arrow, usually means that they're going to end up the build with a crit, usually Deathbringer, something along those lines. But the Griffin Wing seems to be something that either he's using for the stats, or maybe he just likes the item. I usually don't see it that often, though.
I will say this is kind of a Thokman Jones special. He builds Griffin Wing every time I've seen him play this Ishtar. This is the exact build he ends up going. So definitely some level of personal preference was just how he likes to build this character. American Tangents in deep on the jungle of Far Out. Spotted on a ward, but will just back up for the time being. The Oni Fury has respawned. Do you think either team should be the ones to kind of press the issue around that Oni pit?
Well, I think that both teams should be setting up around the Oni pit, but it looks like Far Out is looking more towards Pyro side, judging by their positioning right now. I know that Tortuga is just going for a little bit of farm, but it seems as if neither team is looking to pressure the Oni Fury, at least not without a pick.
It does seem to be the case. Is that how you imagine both of these teams look at objectives, just trying to find picks before going towards them, or is there a team you think can afford to kind of pull the objectives on their own without finding that pick first?
Jesters definitely can pull and secure objectives better than Far Out can, because Hebo's secure is much better than Tiamat's. Tiamat's shred is probably about equal to Hebo's, maybe a little better, but Hebo just has a ton of abilities to throw out. But Hebo's secure Crushing Wave is just kind of better, and it seems like Thawkman Jones is just showing that he is kind of better right now, at least at this point in the game. Soloing again, the Olaran going down.
Yeah, TMJ loves this build, loves this pick, and does manage to get another solo kill, and there is what we were talking about. Found the pick, and now they are immediately going towards the Fury, but on the other side, far out, are going to look towards this Pyromancer. Physics, though, is enough to make them back up through the Cosmos used, but it doesn't look like Tort wants to take this fight, jumping underneath the tower on the Ratatosker instead. So the Jesters get a pick onto the ADC, they get the Oni Fury, and now they're the ones positioning around this Pyromancer, going to look to take this one away. An Expert needs to be careful. There was a good knockup to get a bit of damage. They will start the Pyromancer, but there are members of Far Out still local, still aware that this objective is getting looked at, but the zoning from Physics DZN might be enough, and they will be able to get it good secure coming out of the Jesters there. Hovering Death going to be needed, though, to make sure that American Tangents makes it out safely, and it seems like the Jesters will get away with both objectives, but they do lose Thawkman Jones, a good rotation out of Tort to make sure at least something goes Far Out's way.
And Thawkman almost took down both as well. If you saw both their health bars, they were kind of getting low there. Thawkman Jones is kind of just bringing it to him. Physics is playing risky.
He takes a lot of damage, but turns around a little bit of his own. He's got the support from his team, and it seems like he'll be able to get out, but I gotta agree with what you were saying there. I feel like if Physics DZN tries to do that later in the game, when all of these pieces are online that we talked about before the game, this tier could run into a lot of trouble.
He definitely can, especially with the like I said before, the Ares being able to, and the Olaran being able to lock him down. The Purification Beads are only going to do so much for him, and he also has very little magical defense right now.
A Blink and Unchained. Could be the moment Far Out is looking for. The Dharmic Pillars comes out, but so does the Sanctified Field. Tortuga doing a lot of damage in the backline, but Flippin' Ninjas does manage to make it out. The same can't be said for American Tangents, though, as he falls to Cornicle. Physics is the one leading the charge, but where's his health bar going? Hunter will get credit for that kill. All the while, the beacon's still not taken, but it's just Evan and TMJ who are here to try and stall it out, and not much that they can do. So the second beacon of the game gonna go the way of Far Out after a clean 2-0 fight in the mid lane.
And what I said was going to happen happened. Fearless was interrupted by Shackles, and Tyr is suddenly not able to play the game. It's kind of just what is going to happen in these mid and late game team fights to this Tyr. Tyr can only do so much into Olaran and Ares, and one of the answers just came out there. He got completely shut out.
Yeah, it just makes it so hard to play that god when there's so many different ways to get locked down. Even with the built-in, CCR that comes from a tier, it's just not enough, it seems, to deal with what Far Out was handling. But it does not seem to have slowed the Jesters down too much. Stepping underneath this tier 1 tower, they will be able to get it. But now Evan's in a lot of trouble. The Dharmic Pillars for some sort of peel. A good Sunder as well. Evan does make it underneath his tower, but has to use a Crushing Wave. It's not enough to get away from Tortuga, though, who gets himself a kill onto it, but it's immediately answered back by American Tangents. And now the tier 1 tower in mid falls on the side of the Jesters as well, and American Tangents has to use his beads to get away from the pressure coming from this Far Out squad. All in all, it's a 1-for-1 trade. Both tier 1s in mid end up falling.
It's falling apart for the Jesters. It just seems like every fight now is just going wrong for them, and it's the 5v5s. Even though the lanes individually, at least dual lane was winning, mid lane was doing very well. Solo lane was the only real deficit, but it seems like this 5v5 is just not going well for them at all. And it's kind of exactly what I said. Tyr's not really able to function in this 5v5. It's very difficult to kill this Tiamat, to pressure the Tiamat at all, now that Breastplate's online especially. Olaran doesn't have enough on him, and Thanatos can only do so much by himself.
Thawkman's going to get looked at over here in the left lane. There are 3 members of Far Out nearby, but good peel from FN7 to make sure that TMJ is okay for the moment. But what do you want to see the Jesters do is they decide to interrupt the back here, and they want this kill. The ultimate's coming out now, and Cornicle has to use the beads, but the no escape is used as well. Pulls in one, but American Tangents ups and downs on the Thanatos to get that kill. Crushing Wave does a lot of damage as well, and TMJ will get another kill on this Ishtar as they charge towards this T2 tower over here in the dual lane. They're looking for more. That's beads forced out onto the expert. It seems like the Jesters will give up the chase for the time being and back up towards this Gold Fury. And it looks like they're going to be able to get this one for relatively free. The expert is nearby and has vision on it. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it in there, and they will give it up. So Gold Fury going the way of the Jesters after a good fight in that dual lane.
What I want to see them do is exactly what they just did before, and that's get this Ares out. This Ares is essentially this tier's kryptonite right now. The tier is doing a ton for them in these team fights if he's not completely stuffed by this Ares. The tier is able to has been doing quite a bit on the Ola run. The Ola run really doesn't know how to respond to it. At least he hasn't been showing the proper responses. And the Tiamat doesn't seem to be playing the traditional dive style, playing a more artillery-esque style.
Lots of ultimates getting expended in this jungle fight, as the Tortuga will land down and get the kill onto Flippin' Ninjas. Only kill so far, but the Pyromancer was leashed and unable to be finished by the Royal Jesters. Now it's far out. The ones looking at it. Tyr, though, going to use the Lawbringer to get into the backline, and he does steal it away. Great plays out of Physics DZN. He'll pick up the bomb, but he'll pay for it with his life, falling to the hands of the Olarun. Still managing to steal that objective away has got to feel pretty good, and less far out can pick up the bigger objective like this Fire Giant.
He also got it with Assault Stance Fearless, which is funny because it wasn't in the mode where you could hit it twice and move it. He got it with hitting it with Assault Stance because of where he dashed. That's just funny to me. He's got 2 bombs now. He's not Warden anymore. He's waiting for the use on those bombs.
Yeah, that could be, you know, like, it was a boon to steal that objective away, but it could be a bane to not be able to have any wards. Do you want to see him just try and get use out of these bombs quickly, or do you feel like it's not that big of a deal if your solo laner can't ward for a little bit?
I think one of the bombs can be used much more freely. Something along the lines of maybe just throwing it down in the middle of a team fight, or using it on Fire Giant. Whether it be to steal, secure, whatever.
Well, Beacon has respawned, and both teams are here in force. Tortuga's the only one not in this fight. Into the backline goes Physics, though, trying to disrupt even more. But both of the junglers are in the sky, and American Tangents will find the kill onto the expert. But in the backline, no escape might pull one underneath. It does pull Physics, who's in a lot of trouble and will end up falling to Omni-Based. The crushing wave damage is too much, though, and Hunter does end up falling. And look at the health left on Cornicle with a sliver of HP. But they can't find the kill quite yet. Evan in a lot of trouble, and Omni just does too much damage himself, but he'll get turned around immediately by American Tangents. The tier 2 tower in mid ends up falling, and that's allowing the Jesters to step in towards this Phoenix, who needs the 2 bombs that Physics have. When Thokman Jones just auto attacks that quickly, they'll win the team fight, they'll take the Phoenix, and now they can just back up to Beacon for free.
You know, I think the bombs would have been pretty useful there. but something I was going to say before that fight started is I love the Absolution pickup from the Ganesha. It is a necessity against this comp, and Absolution, definitely an underrated item. This item into certain team comps, especially ones like Ares Olarun, is so good. After casting your ultimate, you gain CC immunity in an AoE for 1 second, giving it to your teammates as well. Whenever he casts that ability, whether he's caught an Olarun ultimate or there's an Ares ultimate, his teammates don't even need to use their purification beads next to him if he just throws the ultimate down. That's all he has to do. And Ganesha ultimate is only on like a 45-second cooldown. The Absolution CD matches the Ganesha CD. It is really good here, and I'm glad he ended up picking it up.
Yeah, that is a smart pickup by FN7. I didn't quite realize how good Absolution could be into a comp like this, like you mentioned. Definitely going to be helping out, you know, the entirety of the team against the heavy CC comp that's coming out of Far Out here. And it looks like we're seeing groupings around this fire giant. With the lead that the Jesters have right now, do you still want to see them look for a pick before pulling this biggest objective on the map, or can they afford to just kind of, force far out to come to them as we have another quick pause here, it seems?
I think that they do need some sort of pick. Every single fight that 5v5 that they have won has been because they've gotten an isolated pick on one of the tanks, whether it be the Hercules or the Ares, and physics has just been buying space, or buying time and making space. Whether it be the Ares or the Hercules, one of them has been getting caught and completely picked off, executed by the Thanatos and cleaned up, making it a 4v5. But it seems like the Titan defense is more of a priority for the Royal Jesters.
A blink, no escape coming in will pull in just physics. The absolution proc was visible there, just as you talked about. The Titan definitely seeming to be the focus for this Royal Jester squad, absolutely melting the Titan afar out. And physics will blink in, but not going to find anything with the Fearless there. It looks like they want to stick with their Titan and want to push down. Physics ults into the back line, and Cornicle takes quite a bit of damage, but they need to back up now. Evan has to use the beads and still gets CC'd quite a bit, but is tanky enough with the help of his team to be okay. In the sky is American Tangents and gets the beads out of the expert, but Hunter is getting melted by the damage from Thockman Jones, and Evan will get that kill. Low health bars for so many members. It's a double kill for the Hebo as the Jesters continue to charge forward. The expert will fall to American Tangents, and Omni is on the wrong side of this fight. He will end up falling. A double kill for American Tangents as well, but Tortuga does turn one kill back around in their favor. And here's the bombs that we've been seeing being held by Physics DZN. They'll take the right side bird as well, and it's Tortuga versus the world. It might just be the game as the Titan walks into the throne room to help out in this fight. Tortuga's doing what he can to at least buy some time, but he gets blown up by American Tangents, who is unstoppable and will up down the Titan, and the Jesters will take the win over the far out.
Yeah, pretty much exactly what I said. They got a pick at the start, and they were able to catch the Ares. An unfortunate start to the fight because the tier attempted to Fearless and didn't hit it, but they were able to catch somebody out, and they just got a kill and just devolved from there. These picks, the far out have to cover the option of these picks. They've got to find a way to either clean it up, work together better, or find something. I do have to say the teamwork from the Jesters was spot on. Did you see that last Ares ult when the Titans were fighting? Nobody used their beats. Everybody, they just used Ganesha ult and they timed it perfectly. Great communication.
Yeah, the Jesters played so well as a unit there. And they'll take the finals win. I mean, best of ones, you only got one shot, and they're able to just lock down that win and will take the dub in Titanomachy here in their division. So congrats to them. And far out, they still played well at the same time, but when it's a best of one, you only get one shot to do it, and it just didn't work out in their favor this time.
Well, you got to pack up the bags, look at the mistakes, you got to clean them up, and you got to hope for the next time. Play better next time and get the win. There were some good plays. They didn't play bad at all, but there was some good plays and there were some mistakes that they made. They got to clean up their coordination. They can't get picked like they did. That's what the Royal Jesters comp does, is try to pick you. And once they do, they just win.
Yeah, it just worked out for them. Congrats to the Royal Jesters, as I said, for getting that victory. And I feel like we got to choose an MVP since this was the finals for their division. And to me, it's got to be Thockman Jones on this Ishtar. 27,000 damage. Just absolutely running the show. Only died that one time to the gank to Tortuga. He just looked so good on this pick.
The thing is, right? I can't agree with you on that. I gotta go with American Tangents. He did his job to a T. In the late game, he was putting down the executes, he was doing the damage he had to do. In the mid game, he was getting picks. His ganks were almost every single gank he made was successful. And it always got something. I think American Tangents played this game very well.
Yeah, he definitely did. I don't even think I can disagree with you. I feel like all of the Royal Jesters just played well. So congrats to them. But that's gonna do it for the first game here today on AGL with this Titanomachy matchup. We're gonna cut to a quick break, but don't go anywhere because I'm gonna be right back with the Delphi versus TedListens division finals coming at you in just a couple moments.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. Yeah, no, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. On we'll go, finding life along the way, melodies we haven't played. No, I don't want no rest, echoing around these walls, fighting to create a song. I don't wanna miss a beat. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And we'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the horizon, turn us to thousands. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, and on we'll go.
Let me take you back to a time when love was as precious as diamonds. Where if you search, you would find it. I know that times have changed, but I don't wanna play no games, baby. I'll treat you different, show you commitment. Be my baby. Let me love you crazy. Let me hold you down like gravity to the ground. Oh, be my baby. I ain't gonna be shady. I ain't messing around. Let's fall in love. I won't let us fade away, even when we old and gray. No, there
Welcome back, everybody, to this next Titanomachy matchup here. OSL v AGL, Delphi v TedListens. We had a bit of an issue with the lobby, so there'll be no normal picks and bans. We just have the blind picks locked in. And let me tell you, there are some fun picks here, Valve, that we're seeing on both sides. I am so interested to see where all of these picks go, especially like we haven't seen a Nuwa in at least I haven't at a competitive level in a long time. How are you feeling just looking at both of these drafts on paper?
I said confused at the start of last game. I don't know whether to be confused or just to accept, because at this point we've gotten like, okay, the Loki, the Baron. I'm thinking, okay, Loki jungle, Baron support, right? Chernobog and ADC, and then we lock in the Chunga. Okay, Chunga mid, and Wheelix is locked in. So is it a Wheelix jungle? So then it's Loki solo? Why are we playing Loki solo in this meta? And then I look at the other team, and I'm hoping it's Ratatoskr solo. And then I'm just interested. Like, it's interesting. And I say that in a I'm not trying to be mean kind of way.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where some of these pieces go. The Chaos side team, I mean, we've seen the Anubis ADC before, right? Hydration played it in the off season. We've seen some SOC teams kind of try it out. Is that where you? I mean, is Anubis ADC better than Nuwa ADC, or is this Rat ADC? Where do you expect these picks to go?
Well, Hydrogen plays whatever the hell he wants in that role. And it's funny. His team is a very interesting team to play against because they are a very run it down. I don't want to use this word, but I guess cringe way of playing. They kind of run it down. They will split push on you if they have the opportunity. And they play around Hydrogen because he is a very good player. He's a very good player, and he can just get stuff done. But Anubis being in the ADC role doesn't look like it, considering he's got the Bumpa's dagger. The Nausea in mid.
So a little bit of spoilers. We can see what some of these players are picking up already here, and so there is some interesting things happening across the board. And as we get ready to hop into game, Ratatoskr support is not something I've seen in a very long time. Tell me what Bo the Farmer's going to be able to do with this pick.
Ratatoskr support, I hate to say it, but Ratatoskr support is the most normal pick here. What? Unless there's like some trolling going on and I'm getting hard like baited here. The Ratatoskr support functions similar to a normal Ratatoskr except for with less damage. You do less damage, but you try and exert the pressure that Ratatoskr brings with global rotations. You usually go the thick bark acorn and you shred the prots and you try to make it easier for your ADC to do damage, and you kind of set up for them. But I'm sorry, I was trying to give you analysis here, but I am lost.
Yeah. This is what I love about best of ones, right? You pull out the spicy picks, you put characters where you're not used to seeing them. I mean, we have Chernobog in solo right now. It looks like Chonga could be in the mid lane or in the jungle role, depending, because we have a Boomba's hammer pickup for Boomba's dagger, pickup for Adora. There's just so much interesting things happening all across the map right now.
And there's a level 2 gank going on in solo lane.
Solo. Anubis, not
and
enough
the Nuwa,
damage.
The Nuwa is over here, and so this is a classic solo lane matchup: Chernobog versus Nuwa. And the intricacies of this matchup go beyond my understanding. Big Hat Baron making it work in the dual lane right now with the Fafnir ADC. With that purple buff, with that conduit gem. I was more confused than I was when the game started. And when I was in drafts, I'm trying to provide analysis here, and I'm just baffled. I am intrigued, baffled. I don't know, irritated. He just spun around in a circle.
I am loving every single bit of this because, it might be an interesting start. We're seeing things in picks we're not used to the point where we still are unsure of where things are going. It looks like maybe it is Adora who's going to be jungle on this Chang'e pick, even though they picked up the red buff. Still trying to find out. But once we get past laning phase, it's just 5v5 smite, right? But a blink in from Adora, that is a ways off in the future. Bubbles here though as well, but First Blood gonna go the way of Kitsune. It's a 2-for-0 in the mid lane there as Local and Adora grab kills for themselves and kickstart their game. Now just 2 minutes in, up 2-0.
I gotta ask, are all these people just like friends and this is like the finals match and they're just like, let's just have some fun? And they just decided to screw around and find out. It's just like, we're gonna have some great fun here. I'm glad that they're doing it, but this is some of the worst team comps I've seen in a minute.
Okay, let's talk about the team comps as a whole, regardless of what roles they're in. How do you feel like on paper one of the teams has a better like 5-man draft as Adora gets taken down to just over half HP by Dirty Bubble there, and here comes the first new ult of the game, but not gonna find anything more than just some damage. I mean, who has the better draft once we're like, say dancing around a fire giant?
The thing is, right, I would say that something spicy does. But the Fafnir building damage puts a wrench in that, because I have no idea what he's going to build. Because if he builds, like, correctly with the damage, or at least what I think is correctly, or he goes like a hybrid build, maybe it works. But I have very rarely played damage Fafnir, and I don't know how it goes. I know it does a lot of damage, and there's mostly squishies on the other side, but I'm just a little confused.
Here comes some of that damage, and Bracking will get demolished. Doesn't have any damage of his own to counter back as Assassinate and Life of the Party there used to get the kill on this damage Fafnir. You said if he builds normal for what Fafnir damage is. What does normal damage Fafnir look like? Because I know the breath is gonna hurt when you transform, regardless of what he builds. So what does damage Fafnir build? As Death Bunny gets a kill soloed over there in solo. Not sure if that was what was supposed to happen or not between a Nuwa and a Chernobog.
You have to ask somebody more knowledgeable than me about that, because Fafnir damage is not my specialty. Listen, if you ask me like about Atlas, I'm a full damage Atlas connoisseur. Okay, the Vatlas, that's what I call it. Okay, love that. Don't know what Fafnir does at that turn. Oh. And a Wheelix died to mid camps.
Oh,
I just took off my glasses because I'm just like, I'm pondering. I'm just pondering everything that's going on right now. And Loki got soloed.
This is the power of the Fafnir. Has even just tier 2 of that spear tree. Once you transform, it does so much damage. And then super unfortunate for Local to die to the Harpies there. This game, if nothing else, is going to be a fun one. I can already tell.
100%. This is a goofy game. He missed that intentionally. And something's going on in mid lane. Something more interesting. They go on the Awilix. They go on the Awilix. And the Awilix walks away. This has got to be like just a bunch of friends are playing against each other and they're just having a good time. This like feels like goofy in-houses. And do you know what? I'm here for it. Because the Fafnir, I don't know, he went up to that Loki and started just being a dragon and killing him. And the intricacies of this game are beyond my understanding to comprehend. Chernobog looks like he's getting pressured here.
He is. Good stun, forces out the beads. It looks like Death Bunny will be safe. I gotta say, because it was support Ratatoskr, I didn't expect to see the Acorn that we see locked in. That's not one of the tankier ones, unless my eyes are deceiving me.
They are not. That is the Thistle Thorn Acorn. That is the I call it the Athena taunt acorn, even though it's not Athena taunt in terms of like size. It's a big stun. The stun is practically unmissable, though I've seen people miss it. But Anubis is dead. I can't put it any other way. This guy is dead. He has become part of the soil. The stun, it makes for a more consistent CC, and you know what? I don't hate it. It's better than the crit acorn. Which I honestly did not rule out of possibilities for this game.
Just more. This is definitely turning into a very scrappy game between both these teams. Both of them very comfortable taking any fights at any given time, and Bo the Farmer has to retreat underneath the tier 1 tower for that very reason. You know, I'm still gonna make you answer these analysis questions. So, Awesome Luke on this Loki against Bracking's Fafnir ADC. If Dragon Form is not available, does Awesome Luke just win this trade even with the damage coming out of Fafnir?
In Dwarf form, Awesome Luke absolutely floors Bracking. Like, every day of the week, unless Awesome Luke literally disconnects from the game or his power goes out. There is no world where Bracking should ever win that. It's just, I'm being a bit dramatic, but there is no way. Anubis is dead again. There's really no one. That's just abilities used, Anubis dead. But Bracking, there is no way that Awesome Luke in Dwarf form with Bracking loses that 1v1. And if it happens, that's just, I don't know what to say. But in Dragon form, he actually has a chance to fight back. And he has a frame of time when Loki ults him to immediately push 4, and he can turn it on the Loki and actually kill him. But he doesn't need to do it by himself.
That's good kill by Bracking, but Bo cannot make it underneath the tier 1, or make it out of the tier 1 tower, and will at least give Awesome Luke something for his troubles over there, trading 1-for-1 over in the dual lane. It's a blue buff invade gonna be attempted here by Kitsune as Adora charges forward, but unable to find it. They'll use the Changa ult though, and Brachiozoid is taking a bit of damage, but will be able to go up into the ultimate while Skull gets a kill onto the Awelish. The tier 1 tower though does fall, and it's just too much for Brachiozoid to handle. Death Bunny gets credit for the kill over in solo as Bubble charges towards some invades over here. It seems like not gonna find too much.
He's not gonna find anything. I will say he's looking for something spicy. He can't stand directly in front of that door though, and this is. He's gonna die again. Anubis,
they know he's here.
Here comes the Anubis is dead line again.
It looks like it's gonna use the Death Gaze, but not enough. And as you said, as you foretold, Anubis is dead. Bubble falls for the 4th time this game on his Anubis jungle pick.
Foretold gives me too much credit. Using the word foretold. That was pretty obvious, I think. But right now it just seems like this feels like it gets the same vibes as like the SPL games that literally like it's last seed versus like first seed, or it's like 2 of the seeds that like literally don't impact each other at all are playing against each other, and they're just messing around towards the end of the season. It's like seeding for Worlds or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're just messing around. That's what this feels like to me right now. Because they're just messing around and having a good time. And you know what? That's what video games are about.
I think I can tell you Bracking was not having a good time with a 4-man rotation over here, but Bubble has blinked in and gets 1 kill for himself. Low health bar for Local as Ratatosker's in the sky as well. Bo will land on top of the Awelish and pick up that kill. But excuse me, Dirty Bubble is in a lot of trouble, has some good lifesteal, but Death Bunny has the global ultimate and will rotate over towards this duo side of the map. They'll secure their own purple buff. Ends up being a 2-for-1, favoring out something spicy.
Bubble is local to the soil at this point. This is a bit of a rough one. Every time I've seen him on the screen, almost every time I should say, it has been this Anubis is going to die here, unfortunately. Anubis himself, I think, actually has a bit of merit as a pick. It's just that in the jungle, walking around by himself into 2 plus people, you're just gonna get what Anubis usually has coming to him. And that's getting CC'd and dying.
So at what point does Bubble kind of come online here? How many items do you feel like he's going to need to pick up to kind of make his presence felt? Or is it going to need to be until that late game point where the team fights are much more grouped than they are right now?
He did a cute little spindy doodle there. I'm sorry, I got distracted. A number of items I don't think matters as much as people standing near him. He needs to be around teammates, and he was around a teammate there, a teammate who clearly did not care about his safety.
This game is going back and forth, a kill going in either direction, but Bracken's going to try and save his tower here. Gets pulled in by the life of the party in dragon form, or griffin form, I guess I should say. Not enough to save his life, and Awesome Luke will grab yet another kill on this Loki. But Bo the Farmer still around, going to look to turn it back in the favor of something spicy. Lots of damage onto Awesome Luke, and Bo the Farmer will get that kill, but has to use the beads to make it out safely. And now it's Skull trying to turn something around for something spicy, but he's low and trapped between two members. Adora with the chase, and Azur will be the one to get the kill. Bubble is nearby.
They
I don't know
know.
how much he's going to be able to do. They do know exactly where he is. Death gaze through the wall, but I don't find too much off of that. It seems like
he was covering all the options there.
yeah.
In case Chunga turned on the speed hacks, he was covering every single possible option.
Oh,
I'm at a loss for words. Where's Chernobog gonna go?
not a
To
too
the
many
other side of the
option.
map.
Looks like right onto Dirty Bubble,
Right
and
into
gonna
Dirty
land
Bubble, who is
into
killing
his death.
the shield. Bro, this is too good. And now I'm looking at Nua's build. I've been so distracted by this Baron build, by this this Anubis is dying. Nua's stacking. And that's what she's doing. You know, Tablet doesn't even proc off of her ultimate. Fun fact for you.
Local gets deleted in the mid lane, and Zur takes a bit of damage. We'll be able to get out. It is an interesting point. I did not know that Tablet didn't proc off her ult. That is slightly unfortunate if Brockazoid wasn't aware of that, or it could just be looking to stack it normally. Does Prophetic stack off of her ult?
I don't play enough Nua with Prophetic Cloak to know, or I don't play Nua at all, really, but I don't play enough Nua with Prophetic Cloak to know that. I only know about the tablet because my friends have complained about it before.
Adora with a sliver of HP can't make it away, and that's a shutdown going the way of Skull. We're 14 minutes into this game, and there's 17-13 in terms of kills, 30 in total, and Local could be in trouble as well. Blinks in, but unable to find anything, and has to retreat underneath the tier 1 tower as 3 members of something spicy charge
He's
forward.
definitely
The
found
beads,
something, and it's the
enough.
grave.
It is.
I'm sorry to interrupt you there, but he definitely found the grave there. The sheer goofiness and run it down nature of this game is just so pure to me. It's just too funny to watch. Where did the big hat go?
Baron build? What's Azur cooking up with his top 3 items here?
My answer to that question is probably not something I was going to should be said on broadcast. It wasn't going to be anything too bad, but probably something that is interesting. Something that he thought this would be pretty funny to build. Gem of Isolation on a character that has abilities that don't like on somebody like Poseidon, it makes sense. You know, on Baron Samdi, I don't know.
More scrapping in the mid lane as these teams are constantly fighting. Skull will get himself a double kill. A good root there might save the life of Azur on this Baron, who's, you know, quietly 4th overall on the damage charts, doing pretty well, but he's going to get blinked and sashed and deleted by Bo the Farmer. Maybe caster cursed him by trying to talk him up there, Gold Fury. Now the focus for something spicy and all local can do is back up because there are 3 members down of Kitsune, but Awesome Luke's gonna look to try and steal it away. Unable to do that though, and now needs to be careful himself and retreat back towards the dueling because there are 5 members of something spicy heading in his direction. He does not have a tier 1 tower to retreat to, but he has the invisibility of Loki. He's on the run. Looks like he'll be able to make it out safely because all but Brachiozoid and Bracken have given up chase.
I will say that the Baron with the gem you would think has merit because he has certain abilities that, okay, he's got dots, right? But both of his dots prohibit movement in some way. Meaning that you're making the move slower with your movement prohibiting. So, your root, you're slowing them already, and then rooting them. So you're slowing them slightly more, and then the other one, you're pulling them towards you. So you're doing that. You're not even doing that more slowly. You're just. I'm just baffled, bro. I'm trying to make logic out of nothing, and it just doesn't. And Chernobog's going up. He almost got picked again, and he's going up. He is probably... No, he's going over to the left side of the Fafnir, who's not paying attention to him. No, never mind.
Oh, the solo health bar for Death Bunny here, but Bracken's getting deleted. The Griffin form disappears, and Death Bunny will get that kill, but a blink in from Bo the Farmer will secure a kill onto Awesome Luke, and now Death Bunny in a lot of trouble once again. Gonna still try to get this back off, but there are more members of Something Spicy on the rotation. Death Bunny, nothing that he could do, and it's a double kill for the Ratatosker.
It's... I love him going into the wall there when Rat showed up. If I don't move, they won't see me. It's like a dinosaur. If I don't move, the T-Rex can't see me and it won't eat me. You know. Anubis blinking in the mid and Chunga presses 2. Gets away. Baron goes up into the sky though. This actually will result in a kill probably.
It looks like it might, and it will. Azur will end up falling to the hands of Brachiozoid, who gets credit for that final kill. The beacon, all the while, I think had gone the way of Something Spicy as well. So now they find themselves up 2 in kills and around 4 or so thousand gold in their favor as well. Does Kitsune with this comp have the ability to scale into the late game and kind of pull something back here?
I'd hope so. Considering they have Baron, Chernobog, Loki, Chunga. Speaking of Chernobog, he's now part of the ground. But the late game potential that they have is very high. It's just that if they keep doing what they're doing, getting there is going to be very difficult. Good blink. I was going to say they were going to get engaged on, but that was a good blink from the Chunga. Chunga in the late game can do quite a bit of damage. I actually used to love playing it in solo lane, building it full damage into when Hades was really good in the meta. Chunga would absolutely batter him in the early game. And you would just go build full damage, blink on their mid laner, and absolutely explode them. Or their ADC player, too. And it would piss them off so much.
Well, Azur gets exploded, but Adora turns one back around. Here comes the Chernobog as well. Bracken, not enough to live. And now on the run is Bo the Farmer as well, but he turns around and gets a good stun, and it's a double kill for the Ratatosker. Now Death Bunny is the one who's in trouble, expends the beads, but it's not enough, and Skull will go on a rampage looking for more as well, but Awesome Luke has a lot of damage. He'll get the shutdown onto the Naja, but he'll get shut down right in return as Brachiozoid gets credit for that kill, and Local lives with a sliver of HP, but will be able to safely get back to base. That was a 4 for 3 favoring Something Spicy. These team fights are so chaotic, it's hard to keep track.
Are they even team fights at this point? It's just like arena matches over and over again, like individual arena matches. On a serious note, though, these team fights are absolutely... This is chaos. This game has been an entire amalgamation of chaos. And it is very clear that these individuals guys, gals, non-binaries, people who don't conform to gender norms, all of them, they're just having a great time. And you know what? I'm here for it. If they're loving it, I'm loving it. Okay? It's just interesting. Very interesting to see it. And I am just confused, but also kind of excited just to see who wins this, you know? Like, it's just so goofy.
Yeah, none of the builds even going some of the ways that I originally intended, as Azure does dodge out a lot of CC to be able to walk away for the time being. But I mean, I assumed we were going to see support Ratatosker with the build, but this is just Jungle Rat, except for a War Flag, and Death Bunny gets deleted blink in from Dirty Bubble there to clean that one up. And this Nuwa build is damage and it's tankiness. It's working though, because Adora's in a lot of trouble and will end up falling, but the farmer will get a kill as well as Skull getting one onto Awesome Luke. This is going handedly in favor of Something Spicy for the moment. It's just Azure left, and it looks like Something Spicy gonna start up this Fire Giant, and there's nothing the Baron can do to get in here. This should just go their way.
I'm gonna be honest, I would use the term working very loosely. The Nuwa only is so high on the player damage charge because it's Nuwa. You press 4, you do damage to everybody. I mean, the build is doing things. If you get a Reaver, you're a mage, you're gonna do stuff. Fafnir has picked up the Reaver now, so that's a W. That is a bracking W, for anybody wondering. But the build is definitely doing something for them. It's functional.
It's doing something spicy. Maybe just living up to their namesake with what they're cooking up over here.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I wonder if all of their games were like this. And they got here, like they got to first place in this finals round by doing just wacky stuff like this, and just were either better than everybody else, or were just goofing, and people just couldn't comprehend it.
There is something to be said about you know, just catching your opponent off guard. I mean, how many times do you think anybody's practiced against this team comp? Rockazoid very low, but living for the moment. Bo the Farmer will get himself a double kill, and Skull charges forward. Bracking has rotated into this fight as well. All the while, Death Bunny trying to turn something back in favor. It's a triple kill though for Bo the Farmer, and this Ratatasker support is absolutely flying right now. 14, 1, and 6 is Bo.
I see why they call him the Farmer. Did you see that? He's got a godlike. He just got a godlike. Yeah, he's a farmer, all right. Farming the enemy team. God damn. He's absolutely just running through. Showing these jungle chumps how it's done. I don't know if he's a jungle main or if he's the support for this team, like main roster support, and Dirty Bubble and him just swapped roles, but he is showing these supports or these junglers how to get it done, because he is running this map
with War Flag as the starter. I mean, doesn't even need any jungle starters at all. Just has that extra movement speed from the Spartan Flag, from everything else that gives.
He's also
it's
got
just
the worst of the two of the War Flag starters. He's got Spartan Flag too. The mini Bologna ult is just bad. I'm sorry if I'm trying to give analysis here. This game has been a bit of a mess, but I guess my commentary as well for this game has been a bit of a mess. But the Spartan Flag is not very good. I guess their fights have been so scrappy it functions here, but it's just like Warbanner's just better in nearly every conceivable way.
Yeah, I'm not used to seeing Spartan Flag at all. I called it Warbanner.
Let me look at net worth, please. The net worth, he is the most in the game, meaning the 8 GP5 that you get from it is not even taking effect. Because he has the most gold in the game.
Gonna get even more gold by getting a kill onto Death Bunny as the Titans are clashing in this dual lane. And look out, he is over here on the left lane. Adora knows exactly where he is though, but it doesn't seem like Bo the Farmer cares too much. Will just simply dash back away. The Orderside Titan has fallen. Now it looks like something spicy. You're going to push down with this Chaos Titan. Do you think they have enough to get a Phoenix here without a Fire Giant?
Well, regardless of if they do it with or without the Fire Giant, the Titan here
they
is
have
going to be
Fire
a very big help. The Naja in the right lane as well is going to be a very big help, considering that Kitsune has not won a team fight for a while, a 5v5 for a very long time. This Naja has been kind of running the map, I'm gonna be real.
Well, here we go. They're jumping into the Phoenix. This game's so chaotic, I forgot they even had the FG. Adora, though, will get 2 kills onto the team with the Fire Giant. The left side bird does end up falling, though, and now Adora is very low. Azura in the middle of 3, trying to turn things even further in the way of Kitsune. But something spicy have gotten what they've wanted so far, and they're looking for even more. Azura with a sliver of HP will end up falling, as well as Local, but Death Bunny gets one back onto Bracking. The Chaos Titan does end up falling, and it's a defense out of Kitsune that does save the game, but they lose the bird in the process.
Yeah, Adora went huge that fight. Fight around this Chang'e. That's kind of what their hope is right now. It's kind of their only hope. It's all that they've really got to hold on to right now. Adora went massive. The Chang'e went big, got huge damage off, killed 2 like immediately at the start of the fight. It was big. Give him that red buff and let him just go.
Bombus Hammer, the starter item of choice, locked in for Adora here, so going to be swinging even more. You have to imagine that's a Soul Reaver in the last slot, right? Is there anything else you'd want to see him build?
Reaver. It's got to be a Reaver. If you're a mage right now, building damage, you go Reaver. It's just how it is. Reaver is just one of the best mage items in the game, if not debatably the best mage item in the game right now. It is that good. Fire Giant being absolutely shredded. This is what the Anubis can bring.
Yeah, and it works out for them.
You don't need an actual ADC when you just have Anubis. So
they pick up their second Fire Giant of this game so far. I'll do my best not to forget that they have picked it up throughout all of the chaos. And now, at least, we can see that Death Bunny is split pushing. He's making sure those fire waves are not going to be able to get into the base anytime soon. But all the while, something spicy is setting up for this mid-Phoenix siege. Life of the party going to try and pull in 1 and get some good actives out. But what is happening to the health bar of the Local here has to back up. And they don't have that mid-Phoenix yet, and it's actually something spicy who get poked out and will need to reset, at least for the time being. But Awesome Luke might not give him that shot. Skull, though, answers back before Death Bunny gets a kill. Adora gets another one, and these fights seeming to go Kitsune's way time and time again now once we've been grouped up. Though I made a caster curse at least Local. Death Bunny falling as well. Adora will fall, and it's a triple kill for Skull on the Naja.
Skull just crit him for 1,043 and is spam laughing on the corpse of the support as they walk in to end this game. He just crit the Chang'e. The Chang'e walked up trying to save the game for his team, and Naja just hit her with a car. That's what the Naja just did. Hit her for 1,043 with that crit. No crit items, by the way, just a Hydras. And he dies to Titan for even more BM.
Well, Skull with a quadra kill at the end. And they do end up getting the win. Something spicy pull out something spicy and take the win over Kitsune.
I'm glad they all had fun. I'm gonna be real. I'm glad they all had fun. That was a goofy game with some goofy players having a goofy time. That's all it really was. I want to see how many wards were placed on this map. I'm gonna be real. And there are 5 players in this game who placed 0 wards. I expected that, I'm going to be honest. And you know who placed the most? The Chernobog, who had teleport. Solo laner moment right there.
27 total in the game, if I can do math correctly. which is honestly a little more than I expected in a game like that. But as you mentioned, 5 people, not opting for it. Who needs wards when you're just always grouped up and fighting?
I guess. I don't know what to say.
Skull,
If
with those crits that you mentioned, top damage in the lobby, 45,000 coming out of this Naja, who might have had a slower start, and then he just got online and nothing could stand in his way.
I wouldn't even say his start was slow. He kind of was just clowning on the Awelix mid. He was just kind of working it. Him and Bo were just kind of working it the whole time. Just kind of running it. Those 2 assassins for something spicy. We're just running it. It's showing them the spice. And it was apparently too hot to handle.
Yeah, it definitely was. Congratulations to Something Spicy for that victory. And the matchup between the Delphi and TedListens going to go their way here on Titanomachy. And after that, absolutely crazy match that is going to do it for us here today on the AGL. I have been Dr. Shrew, joined by Not a Valve Game with Red Rosie Panda on production. Thanks so much for hanging out. Make sure you stick around in the future for more AGL action. Until then, we'll see you all next time.